Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the YesterYear Racing League. This evening, we're excited to bring you coverage of all the action from the virtual Hickory Motor Speedway in Newton, North Carolina, here on iRacing. Going Entertainment here to bring you all the action for all types of racing, including the Weekly Fast Friday series. About or what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name's Justin Prince, alongside is Brendan Laster, with Jorge Canales working the controls as our producer for this evening's YesterYear Racing League event. It's a unique one to the platform where it seeks to emulate the historical races for the 1990 Whelen Modified and Southern Modified Auto Racing Teams Tour. These races are identical to the real world that occurred to bring you the action throughout history. Currently, we're in the midst of the early going for the 1990 edition of the Hickory Southern Modified 150. That was won by Junior Miller over Gary Myers. Braden, as we come in towards the 1 to green here, these drivers have had some attrition in the early going, but as this race gets ready for the restart, what should we expect to see already about nearly a third of the way, if not a quarter of the way through?
Yeah, Thomas Ogle currently the man up front. We saw just how good he was. He got that win and that pole a couple weeks ago at Martinsville. So trying to go back-to-back here, he's been one of the more dominant drivers in the first couple of races. And the track like this, Hickory Motor Speedway, very known in the short track scene, 3/8 of a mile, about 12 to 14 degrees of banking, depending on what end you're on in the front straightaway, also banked in about extra 8 degrees. But one thing I love about the series to talk about, which were history meet, or the past meet to present, I see Still and Hilbert there coming on track. I can bring out a caution, I think. Going so slow. Which the reason we were under caution that last time. He had he lost rear grip coming out of 4 a couple laps ago and just lost it, barely hit the inside wall. So brings a caution out though, coming back on track. I don't think that's why he planned, but Thomas Ogle, though, seems to be the man up front for most of this one. And one thing I love about this track that we talked about were past meets present. Back then, tire saving a huge deal, as much as it is now. These guys, for 150 laps, only have, get this, 1 set of tires in the pits. 1 set.
So the choice of when to use that set going to be extremely critical, obviously. Now, for this racetrack here tonight at Hickory, that's already been under caution, a couple already. It's known as the birthplace of the NASCAR stars. 14 degrees to banking throughout these corners here tonight. And from what we've seen on the platform, it brings some pretty wild racing at times.
Oh, 100%. This track that you just mentioned, kind of a lot of NASCAR drivers, current and past, have kind of gotten their start here. A lot of guys out here, being so close to the North Carolina scene. I believe this track is within an hour of Charlotte. If I had to recall correctly, I'm going to double check that here in a second. But this track is so close. It's a great venue to a lot of guys, and this is where a lot of them get their start. Once they move up from Bandoleros and legend cars, and then they got to go somewhere a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. And typically, as far as the asphalt goes, Hickory is one of the places they go. So this track opens up a lot of doors for a lot of drivers. Thomas Ogle seems to be opening the door to go back-to-back in the early stages of this one for sure.
So as they continue to pace around here, Ogle continuing to lead on here. The last time out, Thomas Ogle picked up the win, and from what we already seen at Martinsville Speedway, this 13 machine, not very easy to get a pass around. When looking at some of the details, for example, for tonight's action, from some of the notes forwarded along from the series, if we use the 1 month, the names to talk about for the AI, he was in fact projected to be in top 5 either way, despite having fewer starts at the racetrack. This Ted Christopher throwback, again, controls the field back under green.
Ogle continues to lead the way, currently leading Lloyd Moore, and that's not going to last long if we got a caution in the back. Still reckon we got a driver under another car. Started Thomas Hilbert in the 11th spot at number 61. Had a little help from Brian Bianchi. He goes around, and everyone else behind him kind of piles in. Bert Dodson gets up in the wall. Michael Allen and Ralph Van Vorst all kind of piling literally under one another. Vorst was one of the last drivers in the lineup there, so basically from 11th on back, had 7-8 guys, heavy damage. There are no fast compares either for these drivers. So, as these modifieds are open wheel, if you couldn't tell, It basically means it's very easy to get suspension damage. That's both a realistic factor and a factor on iRacing here, especially with your damage model. A slight tap to the wall, you don't really have a body to absorb that impact. It's straight to the tire, straight to the wheel, straight to the suspension. So that can definitely alter your speed, alter your pace over the course of a race. Still in the early stages of this one, only a couple DNFs currently. Jerry Isaacs 33 laps down. Stephen Hilbert, we talked about him a little bit, 13 down in 21st. And then your top 20 drivers all on the, or not on the lap, but all still out there. One thing too about this league, no lucky dogs, no wave arounds. We're going back like it's 1990. So if you want to get your lap back, you have to do it the old-fashioned way and you race your way to the front.
We seen that at Martinsville last time out. That's easier said than done. So for a lot of these drivers, such as Three Machine that just ducked down to the pit lane, gonna need hope for the potential of more people pitting. In this case, Ralph will have to end up hoping for a couple of caution flags to get back on the cycle. Ralph Vandervoort currently about 2 laps down. Now, talking about this race event in general, as these drivers get themselves geared up for the restart next time around, one of the main storylines was about it being the first night race of the season and also being the first race in the next 5 weeks as part of a southern stint for the racing series.
Yeah, definitely going to highlight a lot of the schedule going back to back to back to back. For those wondering, the next couple of races here, we got Richmond next week, and we take a week off. Then we got North Wilkesboro the April 23rd. Martinsville once again saw the season opener there, and then Thompson to kind of do that little southern stint. There's a lot of good tracks, a lot of fast tracks, and this is going to be a good opener, I guess, or a good preview. I believe this is the only time we go to Hickory this season. I might be wrong, but I believe it is. So this track, though, kind of like Thompson in a way, a little bit like North Wilkesboro. A lot of guys I know use this to practice for North Wilkesboro way back in the day before North Wilkesboro was on the iRacing scene. So Ogolo continuing to lead the way over Lloyd Moore.
A dominant run for Ogo so far. Lloyd Moore still riding along in that second position. Pearson having a much better run to start in the third position. One thing to keep in mind is we're seeing already the 22 showing off what we've seen a bit last time. Drivers burning up their stuff early can be very costly. Already a lot of wiggles in 1 and 2 right there across the bumps again for Pearson.
Now this track, a very old surface, a very abrasive surface, hard on those tires, a lot of bumps. You won't be able to keep the tires under yourself. You don't want to go out here and get on the gas too early or too heavy and burn off your rears, even spin out and hit the wall. Donnie Moore, though, currently in the 4th spot. We talked about him a lot last time at Martinsville. He was the only other driver other than Thomas Ogle to lead laps through some pit strategy. Also, he was a favorite to win, currently running 4th. He's one of the only drivers I see going below the apron. While that might be the faster way around by it being shorter, going to burn up a lot of your tires. It's mainly that right front. They're turning the wheel more. They're sending it a little bit deeper, a little bit harder. And over the short runs might work out making a pass, but I don't think it's going to work out too well in the long run for Donnie Moore.
It's the patience game, though, that he has to try and play here. We've seen with the strategy. Passing with this car can be pretty tricky. Already a lot of drivers try to make some passes in the backdrop. Amongst those taking a little bit of peeks here and there around the racetrack, Lowell Jewell, Dave Copeland going a bit back and forth in the backdrop for about 4th position. In fact, there's a bit of a swap right there, the two machines sliding on up. So that leads to the interesting point involving Lowell Jewell. He was considered one of the storylines entering tonight, in that amongst those in the league, it's considered him unveiling a new livery for that race car tonight, as he is going to be running as Steve Hilbert for this race tonight, and currently is, as you can tell, with the little bit of striping.
Yeah, that's one thing too. I just love this league so much. The whole past meets present thing is just so cool. It's so neat. It's such a unique concept. There's not really any leagues that do something like this per se, at least to this extent. I mean, going back and running throwback liveries even to do that particular race really makes it pretty sweet. So a lot of guys out here, though, running these throwbacks. And well, not a lot, but a handful of them. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of them, though, throughout the season as we go more and more. Once again, this race is based off of Southern Modified 150 that took place at Hickory. I believe it was March 31st, 1990. Yeah. It was the opener race for the Smart Modified Tour or the Southern Modified Auto Racing Teams Tour.
Yes, indeed. That was on that day. Remember, that was also a night race in real life as well back in the 1990 season. And this racetrack really shines when you race in the nighttime at times, as somebody is slow in the grass. That's around the apron trying to make it to pit road. And we stay green indeed with that slow car you mentioned there, so no caution this time. Lap traffic about to be a factor. That's, I think, the bigger point here. You see those cars, 10 car lengths up. Here's the reason that car is slow on the apron. And that's okay.
Help. They had some help from Todd Liston, who was already 3 laps down, and that was Victor Lane getting the contact. Decided to stay out on track, though. He's going to go 1 lap down. We talked about how costly that can be in this league. No lucky dogs, no wave arounds, nothing. So we are going to have another DNF to add on to that list. Thomas and Stephen Hilbert, those 2 are brothers, and they're going to be brothers in DNFing as well tonight.
Yeah, not how they wanted to play things out in terms of that category. But so far, so calm amongst the front runners. Here comes the traffic layers, though. Lap traffic, it looks like sticking to the second line. We've seen just about everybody making it simple. Wrap the bottom of the racetrack, if not use the apron to try and find some little bits of speed. And we might have some problems there. That's contact off the side of Pearson with the lap car.
Yeah, a lot of guys try and find room and get by as fast as possible. That traffic will let Lloyd Moore catch up a little bit. But going back to the Hilberts DNF, and that's 2 rough starts for the 2 Hilberts. Thomas Hilbert got 28, only doing, I believe, 25 or so laps. Last time out on Martin's with 24 laps, and Stephen Austin DNF. Or not DNF, but finished 1 lap down, finishing in the 14th spot. So rough start, rough go at it for the opening combo, or not combo, but opening dual races.
Halfway mark in less than 15 laps from now, and as this is all flaring up as well, traffic still's trying to cycle its way around, but Pearson in particular, we mentioned about him being someone who we've seen last time fall off around this point. It's fall off time, and it's spin time nearly. Contact with the lap traffic. We stay green. That was Copeland getting a little bit of a door.
Now Olga on the bottom of Todd Liston. Liston already 3 down, gonna go 4 here. We got a car spun right in front of the leader. He's gonna reset. I'm not sure who that was, but their leader had to avoid narrowly missing. That was Bert Dodson in the 6 machine.
We're still green.
He was 25 up down. He towed very quickly. That he just went below the apron and had a little bit of help from Dale Copeland, and the leader just came up on it. Oh, he hit the tire barrier as well entering pit road. That was the biggest damage. He got turned straight into that giant monster tractor tire that sits at the opening of pit road. So Burr already 25, 26 laps down. I'm going to guess that's a mechanical DNF for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, if you hit the tire barrier. But all we can tell is Ogo's very lucky. And all that scrambling has broken up the packs with this lap traffic. Speaking of which, we're staying up to the top side. Yet again, that's the 1 machine riding around top side. Thomas Ogle tries to run away. Lloyd Moore, Bruce Pearson, Donnie Moore, Dale Copeland, still your top 5. Those are still some of the contenders from last time. I know we're repeating on the beats over and over. That's near contact this time, though. Lloyd Moore nearly getting to the back end of Ogle, nearly to the Nerf bar.
Yeah, Moore's really caught up, and he stayed in the tire tracks. Ogle just hasn't had an opportunity to pass. Thought about pulling out the chrome horns. We got traffic wrecking right in front of leaders. They're going to go 2, almost 3 wide coming off of turn 4. Moore straight to the back bumper. They got heavy lap traffic. That's Mark Fish in front of them. That's caught on the lead lap. I'm not sure what happened there, but they were 2, 3 wide in front of leaders. Yes, the 3 car of a Ralph Worst. Got spun going into 4, had some contact from Jack Jaggerman, and then John Hastings and Mark all kind of had nowhere to go, and the leaders arrived to the scene, and everyone's they're doing a good job staying on their toes and able to keep it going straight. Ogle continues to stay out front.
This lap traffic is turning out to be extremely treacherous here, so what goes through your mind for you as a driver when you see the chaos like this where every single lap car seems to be, not intentionally obviously, finding a way to make a touch with some of the leaders, and that's been why this lead has really, instead of being a 2-car battle again, gone back to 5.
Yeah, Pearson, Moore, and Copeland all taking opportunity to catch up. Yeah, normally I am the lap traffic. I'm racing the ARCA platform. We don't have a top-notch equipment, so normally we are the cars getting lapped. And Salem is a fantastic example, high bank half mile here in Indiana. I got taken 4 wide there last year with about 20 to go, getting lapped. So that was a fun opportunity. But you just sit there, you try to hold your line, but when you have the leaders like Ogle and Ogle and Lloyd Moore, the way they're going at it right now, it's hard to find a line and hide. Jack Jaggerman, for example, doing the best he can to just sit there and run his race, run his pace, and you just catch up to him. We already know where he can go. You don't expect the closing rate to be that much, and you just kind of hope for a clean finish. But, you're puckered up the whole time, hoping you don't take someone out. Jaggerman, though, almost having contact with Donnie Moore. These 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys all continuing to reel in their leaders. Copeland currently, gonna get loose.
Oh, that's a little bit of trouble for Copeland. The 55 in the backdrop, able to hold on to it. We still stay green, despite the field's efforts with how it's looking. We're towards the near the end of the tire life for most of these drivers already, keep in mind. Eventually, somebody's going to snap it with how much the traffic is nearly snapping it around.
Yeah, they have a couple of different strategies. Only having one set that can come down this next caution if we get there and try to take some tires, and it'll definitely be good. But if we get a caution after 30, 40 laps and someone throws on that set, they're going to struggle, after everyone else does, but they're going to be banking on the late race caution and might look like a hero. So that's one thing you got to consider, and that's going to be a huge part. As I was saying, though, Copeland, currently last car. We got one snowed on the apron. That's Michael Allen, currently 9 laps down. But Copeland currently the last car in that high-charging 5-car tandem, including Donnie Moore, Bruce Pearson, Lloyd Moore, and Thomas Ogle, your top 5. But Copeland, Donnie Moore, and Bruce Pearson have caught up, made a ton of time. They were 3 or 4 seconds back at one point. That traffic allowed them to close up to Thomas Ogle and Lloyd Moore. So far, these two, though, have been the class of the show, pretty much running 1-2 for a good majority of the broadcast. Everyone else is kind of chilling back there.
So far, Ogle's basically been leading flag to flag. An interesting time, though, it's worth noting. We have them on for yesteryear. They have been very busy getting into partnerships with rearward organizations as of late, as one lap car joins the pit lane. They ended up sponsoring, funnily enough, the Sizzler going on this year, the Spring Sizzler at Stafford Motor Speedway, giving $150 for the leader at lap 65. On top of that, they've also been picking up podcast partners over the past few weeks. In fact, starting up today, a partnership with one group called the Sid's View Podcast, try to grow that presence of the league.
That's awesome. And one thing I love about that in Stafford is home of the SK Modified, I believe. Jeff McConaughey, I'm sure, can correct me on that one. Or like Modifieds are blood. I mean, that's the history, the blood, the sweat, the tears of Stafford. So that's pretty cool.
So far, keeping an eye on Copeland, still in the top 5 with all this is breaking down. Still continuing to run a solid pace, but it almost seems like it's very difficult, obviously, to pass. But even better, everyone just seems to be near identical on that tempo and pace. Copeland doesn't seem to have the difference he needs to make the pass.
For sure, that. It's hard to make a pass here. I mean, you have a multi-lane track, it's not very wide, though, so it takes a long time to set someone up. When you have someone as good as Thomas Ogle, it's almost impossible to set them up. You gotta hope they make a mistake, pull out the chrome horns or something to force a mistake and try something different, maybe get a nose under and use that bumper. But we talked about with these cars being open wheel modified, they're very difficult to not have contact. And if you do have contact, with them being open wheel, it can definitely go very chaotic, very destructive, very fast.
Already coming up to the final 55 laps this time by for those tuning in. YesterYear Racing, second race of the season. Hickory Racing action repeating the Southern Modified race that was held here, year 1990. One of the favorites still on your screen via the AI systems and projections. Donnie Moore was thought to potentially be a contender for the race win. He's been stuck in the 4th position. Might lose that spot here because he is now all of a sudden struggling to run the bottom. Copeland can't get the diamond down to get inside of him.
Now, it's hard to make a pass. We just talked about that with the battle for the lead. You got to hope they make a mistake. But with how short the straightaways are coming in at only literally a couple hundred feet, they can get momentum, but they're not going to have very much time to build that momentum versus even a track like Martinsville, that's decently bigger compared to Hickory. You can still set up a good exit on someone and use that momentum to pass and go down the straightaway. You don't really have that same opportunity here at Hickory.
Only 50 laps to get the job done. If there's a caution flag, expect a pit party. With how this has been basically outside of the early caution flags, and it's what a couple of them to note. Everyone else has been keeping it green as Copeland nearly uses the bumper. Donnie Moore parks it in front instead. Still back and forth a little bit between them, but still Moore holding firm in the spot. 9 cars are currently on the lead lap, by the way. Here's the thing. Those 9 drivers aren't at risk of being lapped. They're within 6 seconds of their pace.
Yeah, 100%. You guys sit there and it's go time with how long of a green flag run, definitely the longest of the race. You don't want to go a lap down. And Jeffrey Leiden, Lagerman, and Mark Fish, all these guys, they've had a decent pace, but they've kind of been a lap traffic or gotten an accident with lap traffic and gone a lap down. So far though, the guys that have been on the lead lap, 6.5 seconds or so is from first to the last car on the lead lap. Ryan Pittman currently the last car on the lead lap. Actually turning times equivalent to your leaders, so he's doing everything he can to try and stay alive. But when we say 6.5, 7 seconds, it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're doing 13.5, 14-second laps here. So that's half the racetrack. And go to Ryan Pittman's point of view, the 08 machine has a lot of heavy traffic in front of him, and these are all guys trying to prevent going a lap down.
The last on the lead lap, mind you. It just brings it to a crazy thought, though, that all of these cars we have laps down. We have at least 10 drivers who are at least 1 or 2 or 4 laps down in some circumstances. A lot of these drivers, they're nearly evened up on the pace in the clean space was referring to. This is not going to get pretty, though, if you have lead lap cars trying to force the way through. That's Copeland running the bottom. That is a big checkup yet again. What happened to the 55?
Copeland's had a lot of trouble with that rear tire. He's burnt off the rears. He's spun out the last 2 corners, the last 2 laps. So, seems like every time he goes in the corner.
He nearly hits the barrels before the replay. Let's see what happened here. He was massively slow. This is what you seen. He was in 5th.
Yeah, see the lack of rear grip. You're going to see him to get loose. Then he's going to do it again this next corner or the next lap or so. Like, these 2 really bad back-to-back corners now. Copeland at risk of going a lap down.
Now, as a result, Copeland not only is in that risk, he's back to 8th position. He's considered to be a top 10 contender via the AI system. He's top 5 driver at Martinsville Speedway last time out. And here we go! Copeland to the wall. Copeland hits the fence. No caution. We're still green after contact with the 08 machine. And yeah, that's a pit stop.
It's going to be more pit stop. He's still out here struggling. And yeah, Brian Pittman with some heavy damage on his machine too. He's slowed down a couple tenths. We just talked about him at risk of going that down and turned the heat up. Now Copeland heavily at risk. Olgo's on the same straightaway as him. Coming about 35-ish laps to go. So he's definitely going to get a lap at this rate. The fact that he has no right rear. That's going to be interesting, though, to see how he can manage it. And now you got to wonder, is everyone at risk, too, when you're having this rear grip struggle?
Even on 41, Bianchi extremely loose himself right now in the Culpeppers machine. Looking at some of these drivers who pushed very hard in the first 100 laps of this run, there's no way at the rate. They're drifting in a turn 2 in particular. You're seeing that with the rear lead. Like about there. It starts drifting.
Yeah, nothing you can really do when you get to that point. You're just kind of along for the ride, especially when you have, now if it's a cold tire situation, you can maybe hope the fronts hook up, but you can kind of let out the throttle and hope you have some little bit of front grip left and can carry you through the rest of the corner without spinning out. But it's definitely interesting and not a fun situation to be in.
A little bit of contact, a little bit bitty boop, the bitty bump between the 41 and 22. chance, not for a position as Bianchi tries to move some of the drivers along. But also of note, falling on the pylon the past couple laps, Lowell Jewel. Nobody obviously taking the risk to pit. So now, if you're on the edge of spinning, like some of the drivers, and you're on the edge of basically the butter knife, like, you know, this, like Copeland, as Pittman comes by to the inside to try and pass, it leads to the obvious question of how do you not psych yourself out to be the caution you needed?
I mean, I'm surprised that Copeland didn't bring one out to begin with the first time or not the first time, but the most recent time he had a big oopsie and we had contact there with Pittman. I mean, he was up in the wall going about 25 miles an hour, so I think that definitely sort of warranted the caution. iRacing did not think so. But you see a lot of guys are starting to struggle with their rear grip. Ogolo has pulled away a little bit from Lloyd Moore. And the top five has really kind of fallen apart.
Yeah, lots of that traffic starting to overlap in. Lots of drivers on the set phone up a lot. The gap is more than half a second right now, 0.6 in fact. Put Thomas Ogo as the favorite for the championship right now. And it's early, yes. But when you're talking about someone who's basically dominating whenever he's gotten a good qualifying run and making sure to prove you're impossible to pass 13, this could be your driver to watch all year. A chance to go for 2 for 2. 25 laps to go as long as the luck smiles his way.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good way to look at it, too. And looking back at past, you know, connecting the past to the present. Going back to 1990, the Smart Modified Tour, the most wins in the season they had was 5, and that was, or at least for 1990. And it was actually the record up until 2022 when Matt Hirschman took it. 5 wins in one season was set in 1990 by Jay Hedgecock, who was also that season's champion. Although he did not win the race at Hickory, that was Junior Miller. Junior Miller won so many. I think it was 6 or 7 of Smart Modified Tour championships. Series that's still actually now around today. But Miller ended up winning his first championship the year after in 1991. So he did find quite a bit of success, though, winning a handful of races, including the one he...
That race last year, to quickly touch upon, was the one where Junior Miller in 1990, well, Gary Myers, that's actually the father for Burt Myers and Jason Myers, who are still still the racing well, I believe. Here's how quick this race could go. We are quicker than the average. Here's the time of the race back then. 57 minutes and 33 seconds. For 150 lapper, that is pretty fast. That's with 6 cautions.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to compare today's technology to, you know, technology from 35 years ago. This car, the Modified, is not a very commonly used car on iRacing or really outside of the Northeast and Southeast. I mean, they're kind of popular around the Midwest and pockets, but the modifieds in general, you know, have a couple of national series. You look at the Whelen Modified Tour, you know, it's kind of on the NASCAR regional ladder. Some information for anyone wondering, though, these cars do use a 15-inch tire diameter and width, so it's a thick board. Definitely some of the meatiest, grippiest tires you can get in any short track racing. 600 plus horsepower. They have the Whelen Tour Modified, which is what we're using now, and the SK Modified, the SK coming at about 350, 370 horsepower. These bad boys have a top speed, though, of 180 miles an hour. I say we take them to Daytona.
They might run out of gas after 20 laps in Daytona, but it is doable. With the right setup. Wink.
I'm sure they can put something together.
Yes, indeed. With under 15 laps to go. Round continues on here at Coney Entertainment. And yes, if you read some of the banners today, yes, there is some details involving AI involving Coney Setup Shop. The rise of AI. We already talked about it with the results and for the predictions coming in for these races. Now it's to the world of setups. That's been building a lot over the past 6 months in the world of sim racing. The AI side.
Yeah, AI has definitely become a huge, I don't want to say deal in racing, but there's been a lot of, I don't want to say beef, but a lot of drivers using it more and more as far as marketing or schemes or just overall designs, or using it a lot more in the world of racing, kind of try and make things easier, cheaper, and you see it being more commonplace And so I don't know if it's a future necessarily. James Waldo currently running the 5th spot. We haven't talked about him a whole lot tonight to scrape the Waldo, but he's able to keep on going. But AI definitely a pretty neat aspect I think we want to start and incorporate in our regular lives. We talk about Copeland. He's just now going a lap down on the outside of Thomas Ogle. Gonna let him by with no problem, no harm, no foul.
Right now coming up to 8 to go. In fact, to 7, should say. Ogle continues to run. At this point, you'd have to think caution may very much potentially end the race, let alone decide the winner.
Yeah, and so far, we talked about that tire set. We got one driver in the pit. That is Todd Liston, 5 laps down. We talked about, though, different strategies. I don't think anyone expected a green flag run to go this long.
It's a series that wants to have long green flag runs like this throughout its year. 5 laps to go. Ogle. Hurley looks to hold on, still 4/10 up. Only 4 more circuits to do the job here for third place of the NASCAR stars. Ogle, so far, birthed himself a dominating season.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about in the real world smart towards variant. The winner of the champion went on to win a good majority of the race. Saying there, Jay Hedgecock, he won 5 races, only an 8-race schedule. I think Thomas Ogle was trying to blow that one out of the water. We got 15 races here on the YesterYear Tour date. I think Ogle is so far definitely establishing himself as a championship favorite, especially considering using the Latford system. So getting a nice win early on, which Ogle is only less than a mile away from doing so. Good start to the season for Thomas Ogle.
Rifling out final time around here on Maconie Entertainment. Thomas Ogle put on an outright domination station type of race here tonight. Turns 3 and 4. Thomas Ogle closed it out. He's your winner at Hickory.
Talk about a dominating performance back-to-back for him. Between the night and looking back at Martinsville, 200 laps later, I think Ogle is going to have close to 3, or should have over 300 laps led in a 350 lap season so far.
Thomas Ogle gets a chance to celebrate yet again. It's burnout time here at Hickory. 13 modified puts on a show to get the win here in YesterYear. As he celebrates and gets himself photo time, let's take a quick break. Post-race coverage coming up after this.
Want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconie.
With the launch of Maconie Entertainment and Maconie Competizone alongside Maconie Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconieSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconie Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the virtual Hickory Motor Speedway. It's been a pleasure. I've been Brayton Laster and Justin Prince. Unfortunately, did have to leave us a little bit early, feeling under the weather. Hope to get well, JP. But we're going to get some results for you. Thomas Ogle, absolute dominant performance. I went ahead and double-checked myself. Over 300-plus laps led in just 350 laps this season so far. It goes back-to-back to take home the win. 3/10 over Lloyd. More hard-fought battle on that between those two. Bruce Pearson brings it home third. Donnie Moore, another top 10 run for him, going to bring it home in fourth. James Waldo, where's he? He's in that fifth position. Ryan Pittman in sixth. Brian Bianchi seventh. First car one lap down. Dale Copeland struggled with right rear and rear grip and general issues all night long. Going to bring it home eighth. Lowell Jew in the 9th, Jeffrey Leiden in 10th, Jack Yeagerman in 11th, Mark Fish 12th, Alan Wanamaker 13th, Victor Lane in 14th, Todd Liston 13 laps down, gonna bring home 15th, Michael Allen in 16th, 74 down, John Hastings 79 down in 17th, Ralph Vander Vorst 18th, and you go 100 plus laps down. That's Bert Dotson, Thomas Hilbert, Stephen Hilbert, and Jerry Isaac. Gonna round out your field. We do have the lovely, our very own Jeff McConey, average standard, I'm sure above that modified fan. He is gonna be standing by with Bruce Pearson, who brought it home third tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me up here, Brayton. Happy to help out. Hoping JP feels better, but Bruce, you had a great run there. It was a pretty quick race, so not many opportunities to make moves, and whenever there was that opportunity open, you had to jump on it pretty quickly. First of all, it seemed like a lot of drivers were getting pretty loose and losing the rear tires. How hard was it to take care of it?
You really had to nurse it. I was listening to everyone in the chat after the race. Pretty much everyone burned off their right rear. So I learned from other short tracks, if I set my offset, steering wheel offset +2, but man, it was a fun race. I'll tell you that straight up. It was tough. You had to manage your tires the whole time, and those two guys up front, I was in the catbird seat watching those guys. That was a heck of a battle.
It sure looked like it from the grandstands. Now, you had a pretty good view of them battling. Was your strategy to save your tires and get up to them a little bit later, or just hope that they'd get into each other and have to battle it out and you'd be able to slip by?
I raced in the old bastards for those two guys that are up front, and they're very, very good racers. So I wasn't really thinking they'd get into each other. But right behind me, I had a fellow racer from the Bootleg League, and Donnie Moore, and he was sweating me the whole time. He's a heck of a tough competitor.
A little bit of offense, a little bit of defense brings you home third place tonight. Who do you have to thank for that great run?
I wanted to thank the people on my car, Mission 22, who works for our veterans, and the American Pitbull Foundation, who works with pit bulls and educates people about the breed and trains pit bulls from shelters to become service dogs for our veterans. But other than that, the people I work with at the school here in Colorado, I'm campus security officer Mike. I want to thank him for his support, and you guys for putting on a heck of a broadcast.
Well, looks like you had a great run out there in a phenomenal-looking number 22. Congratulations on the third place finish, and best of luck in the next one.
Thanks, guys. I also want to get a huge thanks to Alan Wanamaker for putting this on. He's putting so much effort into this, and really appreciate his efforts.
That is for sure. Alan does a phenomenal job behind the scenes here at the YesterYear Racing League. It's a pretty big undertaking to put on an iRacing series at a scale of this one, so we'll agree with you. Shout out to Alan on making this happen. And Brayton, I believe you have second and first place rating lined up, about to be good to go here.
I sure. Let me see if we can get Lloyd Moore in, brings home second tonight. Lloyd, you pretty much ran on the back bumper of Thomas Ogle's car the entire, I want to say, final 80-90% of that race. How hard was it to pass? What was the strategy? Save tires, go crazy, make something happen? What was your thought process there?
Well, Tom and I were just talking about that while we were waiting to get drug in here, and great race tonight. Get to follow Tom around is always a good night. Felt like I just kind of had a rope tied to him. We were talking about it. We could run like 5 laps or so on a line, and then the rear tires would start getting hot, and we'd start getting a little squirrely and loose. So you'd move up a lane do that for 5 laps, let the tires kind of cool off, move back down. I had no shot at him at all. He would have had to have got into the wall and got hung onto the wall or something to have a shot at him. Other than that, it was just kind of follow around and try not to get too loose to let Bruce catch up.
For sure. And talking about catching up, you guys caught lap traffic at some very awkward and very, I want to say, puckering moments throughout the race. As you guys are just spinning out, going forward in front of you. Talk us through what that's like, kind of having that urgency of go, 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 but having to deal with lap traffic too.
Yeah, way different than the league racing that we're used to. So, they bunch up and all of a sudden we're coming out of a corner blind and boom, here's 3-4 cars and they're all scattered amongst the track. And, it was kind of just try to react and do what Tom did and, find the way through. And then, as we caught other guys, just methodically, find the right passing, time to get underneath and get a bite off the corner to get by.
For sure. And anybody want to thank en route to their second place run tonight?
Yeah, Top Flight Racing. That's the team I'm associated with the Old Bastards Racing League and VLS. So those guys, like to thank them always for their support. And then Durmag Truck Bodies and Magnum Headache Racks, and that's my employer. And good to have their sponsor on the car.
For sure. And actually, we do have an updated point situation. You are up to second, so second place run tonight, second place in points. Hope to see you on the podium once again this year.
Hey, I appreciate it. Hope to get back there and get up to that top spot at some point. But thanks for talking to you guys.
Yep, thank you. That was Lloyd Moore once again, finished second. Good points tonight. Next up, if we can drag him. Our winner tonight went flag to flag, has led basically the last 250 laps of this league. Tom, not only are you the points winner, but the only winner this season. Talk us through your win tonight.
Boy, it was all about where I started. I had a real good qualifying lap. Your fastest lap would be like 5 or 6 laps in, so I wasn't sure where I was going to run on lap 2. And then I got coming out of the pits and qualifying, I got a unsafe pit exit, so I really only got 1 lap at it. So I had to make it count, which was kind of lucky. I was loose, but I managed to save it. And then Lloyd just ran with me the whole time, so there was no rest, that's for sure.
Yeah, you talked about that a little bit with Lloyd. He was basically on your back bumper the entire race. Were you ever worried about making a mistake because you didn't really make one at all?
I was just trying to not burn up my back tires. If you try and gas it up too soon with the wheel turned there, it'll really loosen the car up. And once you heat those back tires up, they kind of never come back. And then you get loose getting in, then you're loose coming off, and it's hard to hold the bottom then. I figured if he was saving, he could try it on the outside. I was just trying to keep my left front on that yellow line.
For sure. And kind of talk us through, we were saying it's a little bit on the broadcast, of the 350 laps run so far in the YesterYear Racing League, you've led 300 and I think 11 of them. So, I mean, Donnie Moore, the only other driver that's actually led the lap this season at 39. So far, dominating 2 races, 2 poles, 2 wins, and most laps led. Are you setting yourself up for a good championship run? Because you would definitely have a good run going, plus 54 points to Lloyd Moore in second already.
Yeah, it's kind of just, both tracks have kind of been, well, last week was just, it was so hard to pass that you kind of had, it was all about track position. Here you could pass a little bit, but I didn't really, luckily I didn't have to. And then I was worried about a late caution coming out. And then do you pit for tires? Do you not pit for tires? Because we dropped off about half a second. So it's kind of just, track position has really helped me. I think if Lloyd was out in front, he would have won because he and I were just evenly matched. So, but track position has kind of been everything for me.
For sure. And go ahead.
I love short tracks and I like these cars. So
it's definitely a very unique combination, very fun combination. Anybody want to thank him right to their dominating win tonight?
I want to thank Alan for all the time he puts into the race. He just puts a ton of time into the league and setting it up and keeping us updated. My teammates, Dale Copeland, Mark Fish, we can talk through things and figure out brake biases and steering ratios and stuff. And you guys for broadcasting it.
Yeah, no, thank you. You guys put on an excellent show. Once again, congratulations on your win. I'm sure this will not be the last time we speak to you.
Hey, thank you.
That was Tom Olga once again. Dominating performance tonight. Goes flag to flag, pole to checkered flag for him. Next up on Maconey Entertainment with the YesterYear Racing League, we're back at it again next Tuesday night. Like we talked about, 4 races in the next 5 weeks for these guys through the southern stretch. April 9th at 8:30 p.m. We're going to 3/4-mile track of Richmond Raceway. This will be a great show once again here over on Maconey Entertainment. Thank you to the YesterYear Racing Administration team led by Alan Wallmaker for all their wonderful and hard work in bringing this league to life. Calling the action night was myself alongside Justin Prince and Jorge Canales producing. Thank you to all of our lovely viewers and our lovely broadcast partners and league partners as well for watching tonight and putting on tonight's actions. We hope you stay tuned to all of our social media pages for the next race. And thank you once again to our entire staff for their hard work in bringing this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconey Entertainment, and we will see you next time.
To be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconey.
With the launch of Maconey Entertainment and Maconey Competizone alongside Maconey Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.